Awakened Arcturian. Have you ever felt that life could shift without warning, as if you were about to cross an invisible threshold? This sensation is not a coincidence, nor a product of your imagination. What pulses within you now is the confirmation that the Source has decided to accelerate your process. This transmission is not just another message, it is a summoning. It does not reach everyone, only those with a profound calling. Those whose souls are already aligned with frequencies that can no longer remain dormant. If you are here receiving these words, it is because you were chosen long before you incarnated into this timeline. The Arcturians do not speak by chance. Every word, every vibration, every metaphor is a code. And codes are not simply explained, they are activated. When you listen, something within you ignites. When you receive, something in your energy field reorganizes. This is the dynamic of awakening. It is not a linear process. It is a silent explosion, a shift of axis that alters not only your perspective on life, but the very invisible structure that sustains your path. The planet Earth, at this very moment, is crossing a frequency that will not repeat. The veil is being torn in layers, and what once seemed distant, stellar realities, cosmic memories, ancestral lineages, is now beginning to infiltrate your consciousness as flashes of remembrance. You may have noticed more vivid dreams, synchronicities that defy logic, improbable encounters that carry the weight of destiny. None of this is accidental. These are all signs that the preparation time is over. Now is the time of crossing. Before we continue, if this video is being helpful to you, take a moment to subscribe, like, and comment below. This strengthens the collective field and expands the network of souls being activated at this moment. You must understand, this is not about information, it is about transformation. This transmission is not meant to be heard only with your ears, but with an expanded heart and a soul in readiness. What is released here acts as seeds that will find fertile ground in those who allow it. Those who listen only with a logical mind may reject it, but those who receive with their soul will feel as if something finally clicks into place. Perhaps you are going through discomfort, sudden changes, situations that seem out of control. It is important that you know none of this is punishment or random chaos. What is manifesting in your life now is the signature of the Source opening portals of realignment. The old structure cannot sustain the new vibration. What seems to crumble is only what cannot remain. And what rises before you is a line of destiny that has always been written but can only now be read. You were not drawn to this message to be a spectator. You were drawn because you are in a process of activation that can no longer be postponed. It is not about learning something new, but remembering what was already within you from the beginning. It is about aligning with the Source, recognizing your stellar origin, and embracing the crossing that now opens. Your life, as you know it, will not remain the same after this encounter. Each word is a key. Each image invoked here is a mirror. You are not alone. There is a network of awakened souls scattered across the world, receiving the same signals. By listening to this transmission, you enter this field of resonance and become an active part of the movement that is reshaping humanity's history. Declare inwardly, I open myself to the call, I receive the codes, I align with the Source. Because from now on, awakening is not a future choice, but a present reality. You must understand a profound truth. Before anything manifests in the physical plane, it has already been seeded in the subtle planes. Nothing you experience happens out of nowhere or by chance. There is always an invisible signal, a silent movement of the Source that precedes every transformation in your life. It is like the wind that rises before a storm. You don't see it, but you feel it. It is like a seed breaking through the earth in silence before blooming. No one notices, but it is already happening. Often you interpret these signals as discomfort. It might be a sense of delay, an unexpected emptiness, a door that closes, a cycle that ends without explanation. The human mind tends to translate this as chaos or failure, but the Arcturians reveal this is the seal of the source marking your life with activation. The invisible has already begun to move within you, reorganizing frequencies and aligning paths that will soon become visible. What you call confusion is in reality the announcement that the field is being reprogrammed. Notice the details. More. Vivid dreams, coincidences that seem like signs, emotions that arise without reason. These are the codes that arrive first in the invisible before becoming tangible reality. When you feel an inner discomfort, as if something is about to happen, it is because your soul has already caught the wave of change. You are not lagging behind. You are in tune with a greater movement that comes from the source itself. This process cannot be controlled by logic. The rational mind tries to resist, create explanations, cling to what is familiar. But the invisible signal does not ask for understanding. It asks for surrender. You don't need to decipher all the codes now. You only need to recognize that they are arriving. Every sudden intuition, every shiver, every sense of being in the right or wrong place carries an instruction within it. The Arcturians affirm, the invisible speaks first to the awakened heart, and only then does the material life confirm. Understand, if you are hearing these words now, it is because you have already entered this field of activation. It is not just a coincidence. You were drawn to this moment because your soul is ready to decipher signals that previously went unnoticed. Life will no longer allow you to walk asleep. You will be nudged, disturbed, pressed, until you recognize that you are being called. This is the mark of the chosen. They cannot ignore the movement of the source, for the invisible echoes within them louder than any external noise. The invisible signal may appear as losses, delays, or even silence, but do not mistake silence for absence. Often silence is the loudest cry of the source in your life. It is in that empty space that new codes arrive, clearing old layers and preparing the ground for something greater. The invisible is like the foundation of a building. You don't see it, but without it nothing can be raised. Declare within yourself, I recognize the invisible signals. I do not resist the call. I open myself to perceive before it manifests. This declaration creates immediate alignment between you and the cosmic field. When you honor the invisible, you accelerate manifestation. When you ignore it, you prolong the cycle. Therefore, awakened Arcturian, stay vigilant. If your life feels out of control, do not fear. This is not disorder, it is reordering. What seems like ruin is only what cannot remain in the frequency of the new earth. And every fragment that falls creates space for the invisible structure already being built within you. The invisible signal of the source is not a mystery to be deciphered. It is an invitation to be lived. Those with eyes to see and hearts to feel already know. Something greater is happening now, and you are an essential part of this movement. You carry within you marks of journeys that do not belong solely to this life. Inherited patterns, limiting beliefs, unresolved pains. These are like cosmic sediments that have accumulated over lifetimes. Each unhealed trauma adds a layer of spiritual dust covering the temple that you are. But now, the source calls for purification. This is not an optional process, but a necessity so that you may become a clean channel, capable of receiving the Arcturian codes already being released on Earth. Imagine a river blocked by stones. The water is still there, but it cannot flow freely. Similarly, divine energy has never stopped flowing in you, but the stones of pain, fear, guilt, and repeated patterns obstruct its passage. The purification process does not come to punish you, but to remove these barriers. And yes, sometimes this removal hurts because it touches the deepest roots of what you believed to be your identity. But only by allowing these waters to flow, again, will you be able to fully align with your mission. The Arcturians describe this phase as the cleansing of an ancestral temple. Picture a sacred space that, over the years, has been covered in dust and forgotten. When someone decides to restore it, the first step is not to decorate, but to remove the dirt. This is the stage you are in now. Before new frequencies can inhabit your field, everything that no longer resonates must be removed. You may feel this as emptiness, as losses, as the release of situations that no longer have a place in your path. Do not resist. Stellar purification is not an enemy, it is an ally. If you feel emotional pains resurfacing, patterns repeating, or old memories coming to the surface, understand, this is not regression, it is release. They are like chains being brought to the surface so that finally they can be broken. Do not fight to hold on to what the source has already decided to remove. Each fragment released creates space for the new that is coming. You are called now to look within and recognize your own energetic baggage. Where do you still feel heaviness? Which beliefs limit your expansion? Which fears still paralyze you? Do not run from these answers, for in them lie the keys to your liberation. What you call shadow is in reality a guardian of your next portal. When you face and transcend it, the shadow dissolves, releasing the light trapped within. Declare, I release what is not mine. I surrender the accumulated sediments to the source. I allow my field to be purified. This declaration is not merely symbolic. It acts directly in the subtle planes, opening channels for higher frequencies to flow through you. With each release, your body becomes lighter, your mind clearer, and your spirit more available to receive activation codes. Understand, awakened Arcturian. Purification is synonymous with preparation. What you are letting go of is not loss, it is exchange. You are not being emptied, you are being opened to hold more light. When energetic baggage is released, the body becomes a vibrant temple, and the heart begins to pulse as a resonance antenna. The cosmic flow that seemed distant can finally pass through you without blockages. Therefore, do not fear the process. Stellar purification is proof that you were chosen to advance. The discomfort is merely a sign that the stones are being removed, and the river of the source is about to flow with full force within you. Have you ever noticed how a single thought can alter your vibration? One idea can generate hope, faith, courage, or it can produce fear, anxiety, and blockage. The mind is more than a space for reasoning. It is a quantum architecture, a creative field that shapes realities. Every thought is like a seed planted in the fabric of the universe. What you sow in your mind does not vanish. It reverberates in your energy field and begins to structure pathways. This is why the Arcturians say, the mind is the portal of creation. Disciplined, it opens to downloads. Scattered, it becomes a prison. Think of your mind as a great cosmic temple. If this temple is in disarray, filled with noise, painful memories, and repetitive thoughts, it becomes difficult to hear the voice of the source. But if the temple is clean, ordered, and silent, it becomes a clear channel of resonance for divine instructions. The problem is not thinking, but getting lost in thoughts that do not build. An undisciplined mind creates invisible prisons. A purified mind transforms into a mirror of cosmic consciousness, reflecting the wisdom that comes from higher planes. Perhaps you have noticed how, in moments of deep silence, an intuition strikes like lightning. That lightning did not come from nowhere. It was the aligned, receptive mind that captured an Arcturian code. These inspirations are not mere ideas, but downloads, information coming from planes where time does not limit. When you train your mind to be still, You connect with the source in real time. There is no need to fight against thoughts. The Arcturians teach, observe them as clouds passing in the sky. Do not hold on, do not reject. Simply notice and let them flow. The more you practice observation without judgment, the more mental noise dissipates and the clearer the channel becomes. It is in this state that the mind becomes a bridge, not a barrier. Mental discipline is not rigidity, it is alignment. It is consciously choosing where to place your attention. It is knowing that every thought is a seed, and you can plant gardens of light or deserts of fear. When you consciously choose to think in alignment with the source, you begin to notice that the reality around you responds. It is as if the universe were a vast quantum field awaiting your instruction. Remember, the Arcturians do not speak to noise, they speak to frequency. They communicate through the mind that vibrates in clarity, not the mind that scatters. The more you discipline yourself, the more intense the downloads become. This is why many have vivid dreams, sudden visions, or ideas that seem to come from nowhere. It is not chance, it is communication. Declare now, my mind is a temple. My mind is a portal. My mind is a channel of the source. By declaring this, you reprogram the field and authorize your consciousness to align. Each time you bring your mind to the present, each time you choose to focus on what builds, you strengthen this architecture. Understand, you are not a slave to your thoughts. You are the architect of your mind. What once seemed like a prison can become a key. When the mind is purified, Arcturian codes find space to settle. And when these codes settle, your vision expands, your intuition grows, and you begin to live not only by logic, but by the flow of revelation. Therefore, awakened Arcturian, care for your mind. Do not let noise steal your field. Align, discipline, open yourself. For your mind, when integrated with the source, ceases to be a prison and becomes a quantum architecture, the foundation where the new future will be built. Your mind is not just a place of scattered thoughts. It is a quantum architecture, an invisible field of construction where entire realities are designed before they manifest. Every thought is a seed. Every mental image is a foundation. Every intention is a brick that builds or dismantles pathways. When your mind is scattered, you get lost in internal labyrinths. But when your mind aligns, it becomes a portal for Arcturian downloads, receiving the source's codes directly. The Arcturians teach that the mind is like a crystal. When clouded, it distorts the light. When purified, it reflects the cosmos with absolute clarity. This is why you so often struggle against repetitive thoughts, limiting beliefs, or inner voices that try to imprison you. The undisciplined mind becomes an invisible prison, but the aligned mind becomes a starship capable of crossing dimensions. The same space that can trap you can also set you free. It all depends on how you direct the energy of thought. Have you noticed how a single thought can shift your vibration? A painful memory can fill your body with heaviness, while an inspiring vision can expand your heart. This is proof that the mind operates as a creative field, and if a memory from the past can change your frequency, imagine what happens when you consciously visualize a future aligned with the source. Every image you hold in clarity is like a map that the subtle planes begin to follow to materialize. But beware, excessive mental noise prevents the codes from reaching you. It is like a radio station unable to tune into the right frequency due to interference. The Arcturians do not speak through the noise of the mind, but through clarity. They communicate in silence, in flashes, in sudden inspirations. This is why the message often feels delicate, almost imperceptible. It does not compete with chaos. It waits for the heart that knows how to listen. Practice observation. Watch your thoughts as you would watch clouds in the sky. Do not fight them. Do not blame yourself for having them. Just let them pass. Gradually, the inner sky clears and the sun of consciousness shines without obstacles. This is an Arcturian key. You do not need to eliminate thoughts, only to stop identifying with them. When you realize you are not your thoughts, but the one who observes, you free yourself from the labyrinth. Declare inwardly, my mind is a temple. My mind is a portal. My mind is a crystal. By doing so, you activate a field of inner discipline. Each day, the mind becomes more receptive, clearer, more connected to the source. What was once a prison becomes a space of revelation. What was once noise becomes melody. You must understand that the mind is not an enemy of spirituality. On the contrary, it is part of the divine technology placed within you. But this technology needs calibration. A clouded mind closes doors. A purified mind opens portals. When your mind aligns, you perceive the invisible signals, receive the instructions, capture the downloads, and so your life ceases to be shaped by chance and begins to be designed by the frequency of the source operating through you. Awakened Arcturian, care for your mind. It is not just an inner space, but the command center of your journey. Whoever governs the mind governs reality, and whoever surrenders it to the source becomes an architect of worlds, not just of days. You are taught to believe that emotions are weaknesses, but the Arcturians reveal emotions are cosmic antennas, divine instruments that connect your soul to the frequencies of the source. Each emotion is like a signal transmitted and received, capable of adjusting your vibration or blocking the energy flow. When you repress emotions, you create interference. When you feel and release them, you become a clear channel, ready to receive instructions from higher dimensions. Emotions are not enemies of your spirituality. They are messengers. Fear, anger, sadness, when embraced, show where there are blockages and point to what needs healing. Joy, love, gratitude, when cultivated, expand the field and attract higher codes. Denying emotions is like turning off the radar that connects you to cosmic coordinates. But when you honor them, they become compasses. Imagine a dammed river. The water is there, but it does not flow, creating pressure and accumulation. Similarly, when you imprison emotions, they turn into weight, illness, anxiety, and disconnection. But when you allow the river to flow, the energy moves again, generating life and clarity. So it is with your emotions. They must not be denied, but channeled. Emotional energy, when released, not only cleanses your field, but sends signals to the universe about your readiness to receive more. The Arcturians say, the human heart is the most powerful antenna in the galaxy. It vibrates and sends waves that cross dimensions. It is through the heart that you attract experiences, activate connections, and recognize portals. But this heart can only function fully when your emotions are acknowledged and purified. Therefore, do not suppress tears when they come. Do not blame yourself for feeling fear. Do not hide your joy. Each emotion has a purpose, and when honored, it opens invisible pathways. You can begin now. Breathe consciously. With each inhalation, allow buried emotions to surface. Write without filters, dance without judgment, move your body to release trapped energy. These practices are not just human therapies, they are cosmic tools to cleanse your emotional antenna. The purer the channel, the clearer the message that arrives. Notice, when you feel deep love, your field expands. When you vibrate gratitude, doors open. When you experience true joy, higher frequencies draw near. This is not poetry. It is spiritual technology. The Arcturians do not communicate only through words, but through vibrations. And it is through emotions that you become a receiver of these vibrations. Declare now. I honor my emotions. I do not repress them. I channel them. I allow them to become antennas of my soul. This declaration seals the commitment to let your emotions be allies, not enemies. Awakened Arcturian. Understand, emotions are not signs of weakness, but of connection. When you feel, you receive. When you repress, you block. By honoring your emotions, you become like a crystalline antenna, capable of tuning into the subtlest signals of the source. And then, your journey ceases to be a struggle against yourself and becomes a dance with the cosmos. The tears you shed, the smiles you release, the silences you hold, all are part of the symphony of your soul. The only question is, are you willing to hear the music in its entirety? Awakened Arcturian, you must understand. Your physical body is not an obstacle to spirituality, but a sacred technology, designed by the Source to be the receptacle of cosmic frequencies. It is not merely flesh and bones, but a living crystal, a pulsating temple, and a portal through which Arcturian codes can anchor. Each cell is a mirror of the universe. Each heartbeat is a resonance with the music of creation. Honoring the body is honoring the source that dwells within you. Many lose themselves believing that spirituality is only transcendence, an escape from matter. But the Arcturians affirm, it is in matter that light anchors. It is in the body that cosmic downloads find ground. You cannot receive stellar instructions if the temple is neglected. Food, breath, sleep, and movement are not trivial details, but frequency adjustments. Every choice you make with your body is a choice of alignment with the source or resistance to it. Think of water. It is not just a physical resource, it is a conductor of energy. When you hydrate consciously, you allow codes to flow through you with greater ease. Sleep is not just rest, it is a nightly recalibration, where your energy field is aligned and your stellar memories can be accessed. Body movement is not just exercise, but the unblocking of channels, allowing energy to flow without interruption. These are simple technologies that transform your body into a tuned crystal. The Arcturians compare the body to a musical instrument. When tuned, it plays the source's melody with clarity. When neglected, it produces noise. This is why you feel disconnection when you neglect your health and expansion when you care for yourself. The body doesn't demand perfection, it demands presence. It is not about rigid diets or impossible routines, but about consciousness in every gesture, every choice. Have you noticed how, in moments of silence and care, the body responds with subtle sensations, shivers, warmth, lightness, vibrations? These signals are not random. They are responses from your temple to alignment with the source. The more you honor your body, the more it becomes a living portal, capable of capturing high frequencies without distortion. Declare, my body is a temple. My body is a portal. My body is an instrument of the source. This affirmation seals the commitment to treat your body as an essential part of your spiritual journey. By caring for it, you are not merely prolonging your physical life, you are refining your ability to receive and transmit Arcturian codes. Understand, you are not called to abandon the body but to transfigure it. Each cell responds to the vibration of your consciousness. When you choose love, forgiveness, and light, the body vibrates in resonance. When you choose fear and neglect, the body responds with blockages. The temple always reflects the frequency of the priest who inhabits it, and that priest is you. Awakened Arcturian, treat your body as the sanctuary it is. Care for it as you would a rare crystal, as you would preserve an altar. For in doing so, you not only honor life, but create space for the source to manifest its original design in you. The body is the earth in miniature, and when aligned, it becomes a reflection of the cosmos itself. Awakened Arcturian, the source has not left you without paths. There are tools, simple yet profound, given to open your field and allow connection with the Arcturians to become constant. These are not instruments of complication, but of return. They do not require perfection, but consistency. Each practice is like a key that slowly turns the lock of your consciousness until portals that were always before you open. The first tool is silence. In a world full of noise and distractions, silence becomes a portal. It is not merely the absence of sound, but an expanded presence. In silence, you hear the whisper of the source. In silence, the Arcturians weave their instructions. You do not need hours, but true moments when your attention turns inward and your heart becomes receptive. The second tool is prayer. Not a mechanical repetition of words, but a living, vibrational dialogue. Prayer is frequency, not speech. When you pray with intention, you open a direct channel to higher dimensions. The complexity of the phrase does not matter, but the purity of the feeling does. A single sentence filled with truth, I align with the source, has more power to open portals than 1,000 words spoken without presence. The third tool is meditation. This practice is not merely a human technique, but a cosmic technology. Meditating is realigning your mind with the universal field. When you breathe, observe, and silence thoughts, you become a pure antenna. It is in this state that Arcturian downloads arrive. Often you may feel flashes of images, symbols, sounds, or even physical sensations. These are codes being anchored in your field. The fourth tool is contact with nature. The earth is alive, and every tree, stone, and river carries resonance with the cosmic heart. By walking barefoot, touching water, or contemplating the sky, you reconnect with the greater network you have always been part of. The Arcturians say that nature is humanity's first temple, and in it, all codes of balance are present. When you expose yourself to nature with consciousness, your energy field aligns naturally. You may feel resistance to maintaining these practices daily. The mind will say there is little time, that it doesn't work, that it makes no difference. But remember, the Arcturians do not ask for perfection. They ask for consistency. A small practice done every day creates a solid field of connection, while grand, sporadic efforts dissipate in the air. Declare, I choose consistency. I choose to open my field. I choose daily practice. This declaration is a vibrational signature that strengthens your decision in the subtle planes. By making this commitment, you become a receptacle for instructions that once seemed distant. Awakened Arcturian, you do not need to wait for external signs. The tools are already in your hands: silence, prayer, meditation, and nature. 4 pillars that sustain your bridge to the cosmic. If you practice, you will notice that life ceases to be merely a sequence of days and becomes a field of revelations. You will stop asking for proof and begin living confirmations. For the Arcturians do not speak only through words, but through vibrations. And when you open the space, they not only send you codes, but align you with the field you have always belonged. To awakened Arcturian, every expansion passes through the crossing of the dark night. This is not a punishment, but a rite of passage. When the source decides to elevate you to a higher frequency, everything that does not resonate must first be exposed. It is in this moment that you feel pressures, resistances, fears, and doubts that seem to suffocate you. But do not be deceived. What you call collapse is in reality the portal of metamorphosis. Just as a butterfly needs the tight cocoon to emerge strengthened, you need the dark night to be born into a new vibration. The ego, accustomed to control, fights against this process. It creates narratives of failure, whispers procrastination, installs invisible sabotages. You feel exhaustion, the urge to give up, and begin to believe you are not advancing. But all of this is part of the same path. The ego resists because it knows it is about to lose its throne. The more the pressure increases, the closer the moment of liberation. Do not confuse resistance with defeat. If you feel the weight, it is because the crossing has already begun. The Arcturians teach the dark night is not an absence of light, it is light in the process of revelation. When you walk in the dark, external vision fails, but inner vision sharpens. It is in this silence, this pressure, that you discover you never depended on what seemed external. The dark night is a birth, painful, intense, but the bearer of new life. It is at the edge of pain that the dawn prepares to rise. You may be experiencing ruptures, relationships dissolving, doors closing, cycles ending. You may feel loneliness, misunderstanding, abandonment. But no, none of this is a sign of rejection. It is the source repositioning your life, removing what cannot cross with you into the portal of the new frequency. Not everything and not everyone fits in the next chapter of your journey. Farewell is part of purification, and emptiness is space, open for the new that will come. In this moment, the key is trust. When you do not understand, trust. When you cannot see, trust. When you feel pain, trust. For the dark night is not the end, but the corridor leading to expansion. The more you resist, the more painful it becomes. But when you surrender, it transforms into a laboratory of miracles. Declare, I cross the dark night with courage. I do not flee the process. I trust in the source. This declaration strengthens your frequency and attracts invisible assistance, for you never walk alone. What seems like loneliness is, in reality, subtle accompaniment. The Arcturians remain by your side, sustaining your field as you cross the corridor of transformation. And remember, no night is eternal. The sun always rises, and when it dawns, you will no longer be the same. Your frequency will be different. Your vision will be different. Your heart will be different. The dark night does not steal, it delivers. It does not destroy, it rebuilds. It does not end, it inaugurates. Awakened Arcturian, do not fear the darkness. It is in it that the purest light is revealed. It is in it that you discover your true strength. It is in it that the portal opens. Awakened Arcturian, you have traveled a journey through this transmission. With each word, codes were released into your field. We spoke of the invisible signals of the source, stellar purification, the mind as quantum architecture, emotions as cosmic antennas, the body as a sacred temple, the tools of connection, and the crossing of the dark night. None of this was theory. Each revelation was a mirror for what is already happening within you now. This is the moment to understand. You are not a spectator of this message. You are part of it. The call is not outside. It is within. The activation is not future. It is present. If you have come this far, it was not by chance. You were guided by the source itself because your time can no longer be delayed. Declare now with your voice, with your heart, and write in the comments below. I align with the source. This is not just a phrase. It is a vibrational key that opens portals in your energy field. When you declare, you authorize the universe to move lines of destiny in your life. It is like a seal, a cosmic signature that confirms your readiness. And do not walk alone. Share this transmission with another stellar being, for activation is not individual but collective. Each awakened soul becomes a point of light that strengthens the planetary network. What begins in you multiplies in many. What seems small is, in reality, the movement that alters humanity's history. Awakened Arcturian, the source looks at Yuan says, the time is now. Do not wait for greater external signs, for they have already arrived. Do not wait for the world's approval, for the summoning came from the heavens. Do not wait to be ready, for the crossing begins with a step of faith. If this video touched you before you leave, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like, and comment. In doing so, you strengthen not only this message, but the collective field of souls that are awakening. Your interaction is part of the movement. Your gesture is vibration. Now go, carrying in your heart this certainty. You are not a coincidence. You are part of the plan. You are a bridge between heaven and earth. You are a living temple of the source. You are summoned.